Hello everyone, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Emily.
And we're the hosts of the I Don't Think So podcast. Each episode we discuss a different story, theory, or mystery and decide if we think it's believable or if we really don't think so.
Here at the I Don't Think So podcast, we are affiliated with Flurry Sports, and we present our theories on your favorite place to listen to podcasts every Wednesday. If you like what you hear, go ahead and share the show, give us a rating, and follow us on all of our socials at I Don't Think So _EH. Or check out our YouTube page at IDTS Conspiracies.
Ooh, we're
Yeah.
back to our spooky month of
Yeah.
March.
Sorry about last week. Unforeseen circumstances.
You know, what I've learned about being an adult is that it's all a freaking joke.
Nothing's real. I'm in a sitcom 24/7.
House construction sucks. Like everyone, I hate when you're like watching TikToks and everyone's like, look at these fun house projects I'm doing. Look at all the blah, blah, blah. It's all fun and games until you've cut the wrong freaking wire. That's all I have to say. We had no internet. And what's hilarious is our contractor's the one that did it. And he's like, you could tell that he knew
The second he cut it.
that he was like, I don't think I was supposed to cut that. But then he came home and he's like, is your internet working? And it showed up on my phone. I'm like, yeah, it must be working. I don't know. And I'm an idiot. I don't freaking know anything. Well, you can have, apparently, with fiber, you can have power to your box. So it'll show that your internet's on with no actual internet connection. So then he's like, cool, great, grand, leaves.
How'd you find out?
Well, of course, then at this time, we're also having electrical problems because, well, not electrical problems, but like they were rewiring different things. So there's no electricity going to the lights in our utility room. So I'm having to go in there with my phone flashlight and figure out like why is it showing that I have internet, but when I log on, it says no internet connection, right? Get in there, look at the box, call 24/7 telecom, and they're like, weird, we're not seeing any connection going to your box at all. Like your box isn't showing up. And I'm like, that's so odd. Let me go in, walk through, look at the box, look at the cord, see a mess. 3 cords chopped.
You're like, ah.
And I went, oh, I think I figured out the issue. I'm guessing these wires are supposed to be connected to something, and they're like, they're
like, you cut your wire?
And I'm like, I didn't cut my wire. My contractor cut my wire. It was labeled telephone.
Well, telecom. I'm sure at one point they were like,
Well, no, because it's a new line.
well, I don't know then.
And so then I asked them, why was it labeled telephone? And they're like, oh, we labeled fiber lines telephone because you can get a telephone service off of it too. And I'm like, or we can label it fiber so that people know, hey, this is internet. Because he goes, they don't have a telephone. Snap. Snip, snap, snap.
He's like, I got it. Kite.
And the thing is there's 2 lines labeled telephone.
So he cut them both?
He left one thinking, because he didn't get to it yet. Old telephone line could have cut that. Great.
Who would have cared?
He cut the other one. That was the right one.
Damn.
So he paid to get it fixed. All's fine. But I'm like, well, why are we labeling it things that are not correct? This seems like a man
designed this.
I'm just saying. Anywho, yeah, all I have to say is getting stuff, buying a house, fixing stuff on a house. It's all a freaking joke.
I know. Sometimes I miss renting.
I'm serious. I'm like, when are we going to cut our losses and hit the road?
And I'm like, this whole home ownership business, icky. I had a tree, a big branch from a tree fell down across my driveway, of course. And I'm like, see if I rented. This is someone else's problem.
This is not my problem. Especially at like 7 a.m. when I have to leave to go to work, whatever.
This is my problem.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the tree's dead and it's by the power line. And I'm like, ask the, the energy company, can you cut it down? No, it's on your property. So then I looked at what it cost to cut it down and it's like $10,000 to take this dead tree down. And I'm like, at this point, it's going to fall and no one's going to have power. Mm-hmm. And that's not my problem.
Yep. And then you'll have to clean it up.
And then you'll have to deal with it. And again, like I said, not my problem. So anyways, that's my life right now.
Oh my god. I'm telling you. Everyone says, buy a house. It'll be great. Fix things. It'll be so much fun. You get to pick these colors. Not fun.
It's fun for a moment, and then you see the price tag and the time and
the
all of
stress.
the errors that go on with it, and you're
Mhm.
like, you know what, I don't want to do this
I
anymore.
think even if I had a bottomless budget,
it's at some point it's not fun.
I still wouldn't have fun.
No.
Because I just get stressed.
Well, and I also am like at a point where I'm like, I don't want my house under constant construction.
It's a mess 24/7.
It's a mess 24/7.
There's random people showing up at your house 24/7.
There's shit in your yard.
Mhm.
There's people in and out. There's grass getting torn up. I'm spending so much money. I'm sitting there being like, I made an error. I made an error in judgment. Now, you know, recession coming in hot and hard. And I'm like, cool, I can't afford anything.
Nope. So, you know, here we are. Life's not real.
Birds aren't real. Life's not real.
This is all simulation. And eventually maybe someone can use a cheat code to give me a infinity budget on The Sims.
No shit. What's the code? Is it like,
I don't remember.
it's like control equals something, I think.
Yeah, it is something like that, but I can't remember what it is. And then you just always have money.
Where's that cheat code? I love that. Thank you so much.
Same. And you know what the worst part about owning a house is? This is my segue.
I'm ready.
When they're haunted.
Exactly.
Good segue.
Wow. Good segue.
Well, I do really enjoy looking up like haunted places. We talked about the place that we'd gone previously, you know,
Previously
when we went on our 4-H trip or whatever. But I really like to look up like local haunted places because I just find it like fascinating of like the history around certain things and like people's experiences and potentially going and visiting them. So what I did, I know in the past we've talked about several different haunted places in Wisconsin. So I try to pick different ones.
Okay.
Of ones we haven't covered. And most of these I hadn't heard of before, except for I think one of them. So I think I have 3 different haunted places in Wisconsin to share with you today.
Oh.
So the first one is a haunted house. And it's called Brodhead Manor. And it used to be an old school that got turned into a haunted house. And so there's lots of different like paranormal encounters. It's said that a ghost of a little girl reportedly rolls a ball around the gym, which is disgusting.
Listen, dodgeballs are a real thing. I will peg you with it. If I see you and you're rolling a ball at me, block your face because it's coming in.
There's apparitions have been seen on the 2nd floor. Loud footsteps have been reported around the former principal's office. A spirit in the band room is said to roll tennis balls around the floor. There's been reports of intense negative feelings in the boiler room. This is open for tours, so visitors to the 3rd floor have heard loud whispers in their ears, only to find no one around them. People have claimed to be pushed around the janitor's workshop. EMF anomalies, sorry. No, I was going to say abnormalities, and then I mixed
abnormalities.
Anomalies have been noted in the cafeteria and the band room. And different investigators have been trying to collect data on this place for years. So
where is that?
I'll start with the history and then we'll get into it. So It's in the town of Brodhead, Wisconsin. Never heard of it before.
Never. Cool.
But people pretty much say like this is a tiny little town, not much stands up. It's a very like unassuming town, but apparently there's lots of different like haunted places within the area. So I'll show you on a map where it is. So I'm not good with
towns
directions.
No.
And it's kind of like in the middle.
Oh,
by Madison. South of Madison. Literally on the border.
Iowa.
So southern Wisconsin, southern middle Wisconsin. And pretty much this tiny little town. It's been known to have mysterious burial mounds, paranormal steakhouses, and what they say is playgrounds from hell.
That's fucking town. Like, you want to come for steak? Ghost.
Apparently, it has a ton of like history surrounding like witchcraft and stuff, and it's been mentioned as like similar to different trials as like the Salem, Massachusetts witch trials and things like that in Brodhead, Wisconsin.
Brodhead, what are we doing?
And one of the biggest like focal points of the ghost stories is what is seen as this large red brick building on 10th Street. So it used to be Brodhead's only school. The old structure has then now become Brodhead Manor, which is considered a local haunted house attraction. And so they actually use it as like a haunted house now.
See, I feel like you're just encouraging it.
Exactly. So people go there and they try to like pretend to scare you and things like that, but it's based on like real stories that they've heard from the building. So starting in 1896 is when the town decided to build it. Didn't get finished until 1907, and it housed kids from kindergarten all through 12th grade.
Oh,
so
sure.
Small little town. I have some stories specifically about the different like ghosts and things.
Does it say when it closed?
It does not.
Because 1907 is not like that
That old.
old.
I mean, it's like 120
I know,
years
but
old.
you think like Oak Mountain's had schools since 1907.
Yes.
Not these buildings.
No, but they started building it in 1896. And then they didn't finish construction until 1907.
Brodhead.
Are you trying to look up a picture of it?
I'm trying to look up when it closed.
Oh,
Oh, you know what? That's actually a nice building.
it is a nice building. Little investigation.
Haunted. Brodhead Manor. There we go. Tell me more about you. About profile. I guess it's fine.
It has its own Facebook
It
page.
does.
Because it's used as like a haunted house nowadays. Anyway, I'll tell you some stories as we go. The ghost of Elizabeth is one of the ghosts known for rolling balls in the upstairs band room. Another ghost is said, like I said, to roll tennis balls down the tiered platforms of the rooms. It's said that the principal, like I said, walks and stomps his feet around the his office, and now they have like actors depicting all of this in their haunted house, which I think is disgusting.
Could you imagine though, like you die and you have to now haunt your school?
Well, not only haunt your school, but then now have actors playing you.
Also, like stop my feet because I'm mad, and then there's someone pretending to be me mad. I'd be like, that's just rude. I'd haunt you.
Yes. Lots of people who walked through here prior to it becoming a haunted house said that they experienced lots of like chills, uncomfortable smells, just like bad feelings of depression. And so when it was bought by the company that runs it now, they're like, this will be kind of fun to just like really lean into these like hauntings and things like that, which is really ridiculous, I think. But anyways, that's our first one. I didn't have a lot of information
That's
on it.
okay. I found their Facebook page.
Does it tell you when they start?
Yeah, so it says, also known as, quote, the old middle school, originally built in 1906 to serve as the town's high school,
Mm-hmm.
and an addition was built on in 1939. Then it housed all grades K through 12.
Mm-hmm.
Then it got remodeled in the late 1970s to be only the middle school
There you go.
until its closure in 1996. And then it was purchased by local investors to be an apartment complex. And then
Imagine living in that.
no. And after multiple owners and the start of demolition, it was abandoned and then sat vacant for 22 years, purchased again in 2018 to be the haunted house.
Jeez.
And it's had a great success, apparently.
Love that.
Great success.
Much success.
A 60,000 square foot building is insane.
It's kind of a pretty building, though.
It's a beautiful building. So well maintained for being abandoned for 22 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? Sorry, side tangent. Remember the basement in our middle school?
Yes, it's terrifying.
Creepy.
I think they redid a bunch of it when they redid construction now.
Did they paint over the weird mural of the planets?
I don't know. I haven't been down there.
I always think about like in our middle
You had to
school.
go through like the gym closet, right, to get in there?
No.
Like underneath the auditorium? or like stage or
I mean,
whatever.
you could go that way. There was 2 ways. Do you not remember down the hallway, 7th and 8th grade hallway?
Yes.
There was just a random stairwell.
I guess
led
I guess
down.
I did know that too. I think I've only ever gone to it under the stage.
Oh, I went down that way.
Weird.
And I just remember, like, it's just there, and like it's a nice staircase. It's just no one like
It's pretty
goes
much
down
just
it.
like storage.
And it used to be what, the cafeteria,
Mm-hmm.
and once a year they'd like take a group down there just to scare them.
Well, remember when we do our middle school like volleyball lock-in or whatever, and then they'd open it up then, and we'd play like sardines or something.
Yeah. Creepy. It was weird and creepy, and it was dark and dusty and storage, and I think about that every once in a blue moon of like, why in the hell did our school not like seal that off? Because anybody could walk down. If it wasn't so creepy and you wanted to skip class, no one's gonna look for you down there.
No.
And it's not locked.
I'm sure it's locked now.
Hooligans. Ruffians.
Kids are not the same as they were.
No.
You can't just say don't go down there and kids just like won't do that anymore.
I had fear of consequences, you know?
Oh, same. Anywho, next is the Maribel Caves Hotel.
Ew.
So
I'm not going in a cave. You can't. Well, I've been in caves.
it's next to caves.
Oh, I thought the hotel was in a cave, and I was like, you can't make me.
So in the original brochure for the hotel, it says that the hotel owner said that this could be a place where you could immerse yourself in fine bathing, boating, and fishing.
Ooh.
It was originally built by an Austrian immigrant named Charles Steinbrecher in 1900, and it was originally named after the nearby Maribel limestone caves. So it's supposed to replicate attributes of like Europe's medieval castles with a rounded tower, things like that. There's a picture of it.
Crazy.
It looks like it's on fire.
It does look like it's on fire in that picture.
But it has like the arching facade of the walls gilded with limestone. And from one of Steinbreck's lime kilns within it, they actually were able to create like a lot of the architecture and things like that.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah. So like many inns and hotels in Austria with a natural spring on their property, the Maribel Cave Hotel operated as a spa, so that people could come and like drink from the natural spring waters. The springs were actually water was plumbed into the hotel, so guests could bathe and supposedly drink from these like healing waters of the spring.
What is wrong with people?
I don't know. After a railroad was built through Maribel, the hotel became a place of retreat for like a lot of people. They would come, they get a lot more travelers and stuff like that. So guests enjoyed different like medicinal uses of the mineral water, so much so that like they started a bottling plant next to it.
What is
They're
wrong?
like, look at these beautiful springs.
You know, all these people are probably just really dehydrated,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like forcing you to drink water, and you're like, I feel so much better.
Exactly. And so they ended up starting bottling it, and it was sold in like luxury lodgings in Milwaukee and Chicago. Okay.
Oh.
In 1915, the wells of fortune began to dry up for Steinbrecher, and he was forced to sell the hotel in 1931 to Adolf Scherney.
Well, that's a name you don't hear anymore.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the 30s before.
Before they knew that was a name that was going to be scarred for the rest of history.
And then the building was later reopened in 1981 when it was purchased by a man named Jeff Miller. So we'll notice that there's like a big, like a little bit of a space in between. Adolf Scherney bought it in 31, ran it for a while. It closed down because of a tragedy, and then was reopened in but it was reopened in 81, and then they had more issues too. So in 1985, the hotel actually began being engulfed in flames.
It's crazy because it's rock.
Mm-hmm. And so pretty much it left the entire like shell of the hotel, the outside, but the inside was completely like damaged and things like this. To this day, the cause remains unknown. They don't know why it burnt, but then it struck, like there was more tragedy that struck again in 2013 when a tornado swept through the area and damaged pretty much what was left of the hotel.
Mm.
Looking at the hotel now, you would think you'd step back from like the 17th century Europe because you can still see like the ruins of the castle. Like it looks like it was built and then like destroyed in a war or something like that.
Weird.
So it's known for its ghost stories, but also known for a lot of vandalism because of it not being like maintained and things like that.
Vagrants.
Exactly. So
Youths.
it was also frequented by a lot of gangsters during the Prohibition and things like that.
Oh.
So when the Prohibition was introduced in the 18th Amendment was passed in 1920, many people in the United States were still looking, obviously, to like be bootleggers, sell things like that. And so, according to reports, John Dillinger, famous podcast episode, allegedly frequented the hotel as a stopover on his way to Eagle River. It's also said that Al Capone was known to visit this hotel as well because he was based in Chicago, and as he'd come up through Wisconsin into northern Minnesota, this is one of his stops that he would make.
Oh! Wow!
I know, isn't that kind of crazy?
That is kind of crazy.
I always kind of forget that, like, those big names, like Al Capone and John Dillinger and stuff, like,
were
visited places around us.
Yeah. Especially, like, in between, like, the cities.
Yeah,
and
speaking
Chicago.
Crazy story. There's a bar that's up by my husband's, like, parents' house that, like, they have stuff signed from Al Capone that he would come when he would go up to northern Minnesota, like, to sell booze and stuff, and he would also, like, go up there and visit the lakes and things like that. It was, like, a vacation home.
Oh, good for him.
There's, like, reports of, like, they've had to dig up where, like, the guy that owned the bar there way back when was friends then with Al Capone because he would sell beer to him, like, under the table during Prohibition and stuff. And they had to, like, investigate part of his house because they thought there was, like, dead people buried there of people he killed and stuff like that.
Oh!
Isn't that crazy?
He's
like, you wouldn't think of that in, like, northern Minnesota.
You're like, no dead bodies, but you can come in.
Like, he'd bring them up and just, like, we'll bury them here. They'll never know. Like, they're not going to come up to, like, the Iron Ridge to look for these people.
No.
They're looking in Chicago.
That they did.
Later on. Yeah. But not after he was dead.
No bodies?
I don't know if they ever found anything.
I hope not. That's spooky.
It's cool. Anyway, speaking of the hauntings in the Marable Caves Hotel, while the grandson of the original owner states that the only ghosts he's ever seen at the hotel is his grandfather in a one-piece like nightshirt, visitors to the location say, I think we've seen more people than that. So again, the grandson claims he's seen the ghost of his grandpa in a long nightshirt. Scary.
Also, like, damn, dude, like, oh, I'm gonna haunt and I'm gonna be so fabulous, and then I'm in my nightie. I'm in a moo-moo.
A little hat. People walking up to the hotel always comment on its size and how empty the top two windows are, although it's often been said to see a bright yellow orb in the window, and it's not the fire because they would see the fire and then see this weird like yellow orb in the window.
Oh.
And they'll see it like floating around throughout the window. They also have been reports of phantom footsteps up in that area, and it's been reported that the light chases those who get too close to it, which is terrifying.
Ugh.
There's also tales including stories of witches using this area for ceremonies, even reporting that this hotel is like a portal to hell, which is a lot. Like I said, now it's still owned as private property, but a lot of people go there and vandalize it and things like that, which is pretty sad.
It's just rude.
Yeah. So
vandals.
How could you? So that kind of wraps up the Marable Caves Hotel.
Yeah.
Again, on the southern border of Wisconsin.
I looked at pictures, yeah, and you can see like prior to the tornadoes going through, it definitely was like a structure.
Yes.
And now it's just
Ruins.
there's like a little bit of a pillar still standing, but it's mostly just like rocks and ruins.
Yeah, and like they've said, as like more, winter weather in Wisconsin, like they're not trying to maintain it, so it just continues to deteriorate and things like that.
At that point, just take it down.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it's like
you know what you have to pay to get rid of limestone and concrete?
Oh, so much.
You have to like pay money now to get rid of it.
I'm just saying, leave it a pile. You can leave it a pile.
It's already a pile right there.
I say, you should get it done. And then I'm like, I'm waiting for my tree to fall on the power line.
Just leave it in a pile.
It's not my fault.
The last place I'd actually had heard of, and it's called the Lakeview Sanatorium. Have you heard of this?
It sounds familiar, but I don't know for sure.
So the Lakeview Sanatorium is a former county tuberculosis. Sorry, I'm on spring break. I don't have to read anymore.
I don't know.
Sanatorium northeast of Lake Minota in Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh.
So this was the last county sanatorium built in Wisconsin, and it was considered the most advanced with like what they considered germ traps at the time. Had lots of open porches. Here's a picture of it.
I feel like I've seen it.
It's in Madison. And had open porches, things like that. And in 1993, parts of the complex were added to the National Register of Historic Places in Wisconsin.
Why are we doing that?
Just don't want to take it down. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, at the time, before antibiotics were introduced, they pretty much would lock people in these buildings to try to recover, where they would generally just end up dying because of different diseases and things like that, specifically tuberculosis in this case. So the state of Wisconsin had a state sanatorium, but then it was supplemented by the series of county ones, and this was one of the biggest ones that were built. Although it's considered to be like a newer one in the cases of other sanatoriums and things like that. So the main building was built in 1929 and was finished in 1930.
Quick.
Yeah, exactly. And in the early years, the fourth floor was used to house 25 staff, which reduced the capacity for patients. And by 1934, the extra capacity was needed, and they ended up having to add on to it because there were so many cases of tuberculosis at the time. Eventually, antibiotics made the sanatoria like increasingly obsolete. And from the 1940s onward, the use of the facility declined until it eventually closed in 1960. And so at this point, it's like pretty much unused and things like that.
Right.
However, I do have some stories of people who have visited or been around it, and they've shared their ghostly stories. Ooh. I think it's mostly like people are just freaked out by it.
Yeah.
Yes. So
same.
It's been reported to have cold spots, mists, and eerie occurrences. It's also there's woods next to it that people hike behind, and they've noticed apparitions, hot spots, murmured voices, and so apparently there's like ghosts and stuff that have pulled people's hair. And from the outside the building, like will sometimes seem to be glowing from the trail.
Ick.
So one person said, my family and I used to live close by the building on the north side. My children and I were walking by one day and decided to stop because we love all things creepy. We were standing at the cemetery because there's a cemetery there.
Well, obviously, because that many people die.
Taking pictures and talking, and I started getting chills from head to toe, and my head started to feel heavy. I didn't like the vibe or feeling I was getting at all, so I told my children it was time to go. I will never forget that experience. And I was like, okay, sounds good. That was in 2024.
Ick.
I'm still haunted by being locked inside the sanitarium in 1959. I was 6 years old. My parents told me I was going to a new school, then suddenly they were gone, and I couldn't go home anymore. School, not a real school. Sunshine is a cure? No way. No way. We were not allowed outside at all, and the indoors was terrifying. And so it was someone who actually was there and then recovered after medications were given.
I thought your parents sucked. Your parents like made a really awful joke at 6 years old and was like, ha 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 ha. Mm-hmm. Would this be funny to traumatize our child forever?
Mm-hmm. Oh. I went up there with a group of friends, and it happened to be Halloween night in a blue moon. On our way there, we were sharing some paranormal experiences and noticed that the same car had been following us for the last 30 minutes. We ended up getting away from them and made it to the sanatorium. When we first got there, I instantly felt my shoulders getting heavy, my back was sore, and I was spooked out by the woods. We ended up getting out of the car to go walk around the building, but each time we did, someone got really cold and wanted to go back and get a jacket, or something felt weird. This whole time, I'm staring up at the building behind the sanatorium. It's a white little building. Every time I looked up, I just got chills. And after 10 minutes of debating on what to do, we decided to leave. As my friend is pulling up to the white building to turn around, my whole body just went numb, and I could feel like something was pulling me to behind the building, and I just froze. We quickly left and ended up turning around to pass the hill to go home. As we passed, my body got full chills, heavy shoulders, until we were about 3 minutes away. My friend has some medium abilities and can feel bad and good energy, and said that something bad was there and she needed to leave because she was getting overwhelmed. This place has weird energy and I kind of want to do it again. And I'm like, you're the problem.
Also, I'm sorry. You probably ran away from a man, we're assuming here, and ran into the arms of a spooky sanatorium. What is wrong with you? That's when you go to the police station, friends.
Mm-hmm.
You don't say, you know what would make this? Also, what if, like, you did lose the car and now you're at a sanatorium with someone following you?
Right. And it's not like you can go in there to, like, be saved or something. It's all locked.
It's all, I don't want to be around it.
I
don't want to die here.
I have a couple more. This one I was like, oh, this to me, because I always feel like animals have like a different ability to like sense things and stuff like that. So it says, the building is still being used today by the state. You're able to walk through the woods and see the haunted cemetery right next to it. There's a map that shows what used to be the area, and there used to be a pig farm behind the forest area. You can see the door to the nurse's quarters, but are unable to access it. My friend and I took my dog to try and see if anything happened. My dog was on edge the whole time. As we got closer, it started barking and trying to run towards something that wasn't there. We also saw a creepy group of deer come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they all stood very still and just stared at us. I'm like, that's just deer.
That's just deer.
But I'm like, the dog? Freaky.
Deer are weird, dude.
But then again, maybe it was seeing deer before you could see it.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy deer.
Yeah, and then the last one said, I was always aware of this building and cemetery being haunted, but I've never actually walked in the woods or drove up on the hill. I just always happened to pass by it. It was like 9 p.m. at night, and I was in the passenger seat as we were driving up the hill. Just about halfway, something slammed itself against the side of the car, and I got so spooked. I jumped and screamed and shut my eyes, and it dead ass felt like an accident. I was like, what did we just hit? We need to turn around. I was freaked out. My 2 cousins were in the seat behind me, said it was a lechuza. It looked like a barn owl. The other cousin said, I didn't see an owl. I saw a deer. My boyfriend, who was driving, didn't see anything. They got out and they didn't notice any marks in their car.
Ick.
So maybe an animal ran up and hit their car,
Hey,
or maybe it was a ghost.
That's insane. I hate that. Do you remember where we were, what we were doing? I don't know. I think it was a softball field that you would play on. If you looked out of the outfield, there was like an old psych hospital. Does that ring any bells for you?
I remember when we played in Arkansas, the outfield was connected to a cemetery. Remember that?
Oh!
When we played in like Durand, Arkansas?
Yeah.
The softball field, the outfield was like the cemetery.
What?
And then when you would hit like one into the outfield, there was like headstones that got broken by people like softballs hitting them. Do you not remember that?
No!
Yeah. Like
that seems like a bad planning. That's bad city planning.
Yeah.
Also, who allows that?
I don't know, but like the end of the softball field, it just like had one of those like construction orange like mesh net things, but you could easily hit over it, and then, or even if you had a foul ball or something, it would like go over and end up hitting like headstones and shit.
No, I don't remember that at all. I don't remember that at all.
That's crazy.
Ick.
You don't?
No, Hannah.
I very clearly remember. I'm trying to think. Maybe it was like my freshman year.
I remember being next to the pool in Bloomer. Or no, yeah.
Oh, I forgot about, yes.
Way back in the day.
I don't remember a sanatorium, no.
I don't know if
or a psych hospital?
I think I got told it was a psych hospital. I want to say it was in Stanley, but I don't think it was.
No. Because Stanley just has the prison.
Yeah, but I don't think it's. I don't know.
And
All
the
I
field's
remember-
not by the prison.
Why? Hitting dingers and inmates at the same time. But
So I'm trying to think of all the places we played at.
I literally, and it's like, I don't think we played there every year. It was like it was when we were younger. It was like a summer game. So,
Oh, really?
like tournament-y thing.
Well, maybe
that.
we weren't on the same team then. Because
But you would have played there.
every other year.
I know.
I don't remember ever playing.
And it was like a big, creepy building, kind of like that Lakeview Sanatorium.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I remember playing St. Croix. I remember playing in
Because I can't Google old mental hospitals in
Wisconsin by softball field.
By
You
softball
might
field.
be able to.
Google's a crazy place. I just vaguely remember that and being like, you wanted to look at it, but you also didn't want to look at it. You know, we're really using our Google today.
Mental hospital.
You know what? Who needs to type?
The Goodman Softball Complex. You're likely thinking of the Goodman Softball Complex.
That's where state is. No, not there. Not what I mean. Not at all.
That's what AI thinks.
AI. No, Goodman's where state is played. I'm telling you,
Wisconsin softball field by mental hospital.
you keep popping up Goodman. It's not freaking Goodman.
Are you sure? Because that's what Google really thinks. It literally says
Goodman Hospital.
Wisconsin.
Stop showing me Goodman. No, because it was when we were young, and I went to Goodman when we were in like high school.
What if I say?
Google.
Softballs, like any sport, can significantly impact mental health, both positively and negatively. You can tell that to me twice.
Thank you for that trauma. All right. Well, if I figure it out, I'll talk about it next episode.
Wisconsin student athletes, including those in softball, can access mental health resources.
Thank
So
God.
if you need any,
get some. I wish you all the best.
other than that, we hope you have a great week. We will be back next week.
Bye.